All right guys, we're back playing Dragon Age Origins. कंटिन्यू करते हैं लास्ट टाइम से. लोदरिंग हम कंप्लीट कर लिया था, वो छोड़ दिया था हमने लोदरिंग, लाइक सारी क्वेस्ट करके आ गए थे. फाइनली बैक इन आवर कैंप. और इस बार कैंप में कुछ नए लोग हैं. स्टैन, बोड्रिक और क्या नाम था इसका, सैंडल. हाँ, बाप बेटे डवार्व्स हैं ये, पार्टी कैंप में रहते हैं. इनसे काफ़ी ट्रेडिंग कर सकते हो, सामान बेच सकते हो, खरीद सकते हो. और यहाँ पे एक ये DLC वाला बंदा आ गया, लीवाई ड्राइडन. ये भी अबे
Where are my men? Did Duncan ever
हट हट
mention
हट.
me?
अबे चलो
Levy of
शुरू
the
हो गई
coin,
कॉन्वर्सेशन.
Levy the trader. Really? He never told you of old Levy? We've known each other for years. But here I am carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the Wardens. And for me. But poor Duncan's, well, no more. A tragedy it is, at that. But I know he would want his work carried on. His pledge fulfilled.
ओके, तो ये एक बेसिकली एक DLC है. एक क्या क्या नाम था, कीपर समथिंग, याद नहीं आ रहा मेरे को. एक छोटी सी क्वेस्ट है, हमें जाना है वहाँ पे, इस बंदे की हेल्प करनी है. ये अभी बताएगा हमें कि एक्चुअली इसने डंकन को प्रॉमिस करा था, डंकन ने इसको प्रॉमिस करा था कि वो इसे हेल्प करेगा. बट डंकन तो अब उनका तो इंतकाल हो चुका है, तो अब हमें मदद करनी पड़ेगी.
My family, well, past a bit checkered to see. Nobles look at us with disdain. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last Warden commander of Ferelden back when the Wardens were known as freeloaders. So King Arland banished the Wardens and he took House Dryden's land and titles. Hard to say. After King Arland died, there was a civil war, loads worse than this one, and our family was on the run, hunted by enemies, with nary a friend in the world. But Drydens are tough. We rebuilt, became merchants, and we never lost our pride. Duncan wanted to reclaim the old Grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak, and perhaps we'll uncover evidence to restore my family's honour along the way. Nobody's been to Soldier's Peak since the Grey Wardens were banished, but I found a way. They say it's haunted, and it's certainly dangerous. Would you help me?
ओके हाँ, तो इस DLC का नाम है आई थिंक सोल्जर्स पीक. तो ये चाहता है कि हम इसके साथ जाएं, इसका कुछ फैमिली लैंड है वो रिक्लेम करें. और इसकी जो ग्रेट ग्रेट ग्रैंड मदर थी सोफिया ड्राइडन, वो वार्डन कमांडर थी फरेल्डन की उस टाइम पे, काफ़ी पहले. तो क्या हुआ उसकी स्टोरी के साथ, मतलब किसी को कुछ पता नहीं है, तो वो पता करना है हमने, इसलिए हमारी हेल्प मांग रहा है. तो ये सब डायलॉग्स किसी काम के नहीं है, ऐसे कुछ ज़्यादा रिवील नहीं होता, थोड़ी सी स्टोरी और बता देगा. लाइक वो इतनी कोई इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, मेन स्टोरी से रिलेटेड भी नहीं है वो, तो हम जस्ट कंटिन्यू कर देते हैं. ठीक है.
1,000 blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
ठीक है, अब ये बंदा गायब हो गया. अब सोल्जर स्पीक हमें मैप में दिखेगा जब भी हम फास्ट ट्रैवल करेंगे. ऑलराइट, पिछली बार एलिस्टर का -50 हो गया था, तो मैंने वापस गेम लोड करके बाकी सब वो सारी कॉन्वर्सेशंस मैंने फिर से करी मॉरिगन के साथ, बोडैन के साथ. एंड इसको हाँ कुछ गिफ्ट दिया था ना हमने, स्टैचू. एक सेकेंड, कुछ बातें कर सकते हैं? अभी कुछ बातें नहीं कर सकते. हाँ, तो हमने एलिस्टर को क्या दिया था? हाँ, स्मॉल कार्व्ड स्टैचू. ले भाई.
I could get used to this, you know.
या ठीक है. ग्रे वार्डन हैंड पपेट, देखें इसको.
I could get used to this, you know.
ओ भाई साहब, सीधा 50. ये था ना सही वाला, सीधा अप्रूवल रेटिंग. कितना जंप मारा इसने. चलो कुछ बातें करते हैं, कुछ और कैरेक्टर्स देखते हैं अगर कुछ प्रोग्रेशन इनका अप्रूवल रेटिंग बढ़ता है क्या.
Yes. Well, here I am. I knew this would come up sooner or later. I don't know how to explain, but I had a dream. In it, there was an impenetrable darkness. It was so dense, so real. And there was a noise, a terrible, ungodly noise. I stood on a peak and watched as the darkness consumed everything. And when the storm swallowed the last of the sun's light, I fell. And the darkness drew me in. I suppose I did. That was what the darkness was, no? When I woke, I went to the Chantry's gardens, as I always do. But that day, the rose bush in the corner had flowered. Everyone knew that bush was dead. It was grey and twisted and gnarled, the ugliest thing you ever saw. But there it was, a single beautiful rose. It was as though the Maker stretched out his hand to say, even in the midst of this darkness, there is hope and beauty. Have faith.
ओके जस्ट विशफुल थिंकिंग लियाना नहीं, ये राइट ऑप्शन नहीं है. यार आई एम कंफ्यूज बिटवीन फर्स्ट और सेकंड, मेरे को याद नहीं. सेकंड लेते हैं.
In my dream, I fell. Or maybe I jumped. I'd do anything to stop the blight. I know that we can do it. There are so many good things in the Maker's world. How can I sit by while the blight devours everything?
Okay.
That is why you're a Grey Warden. Come, there's a blight to stop.
All right, not bad. 2 approval. कुछ ज़्यादा खास नहीं.
Yes? Well, here I am. Quiet. It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. And in that stillness, I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose.
Condescending? How so?
When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's gone, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools.
I prefer your ideas to the ideas of the chantry.
Thank you. Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the chantry. But there is work to be done, and I have talked enough for now.
Again, +2. ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं मिला.
Yes?
एक डायलॉग्स और हैं इसके कुछ.
Well, here I am. What is meant by someone like me?
You know, a beautiful, charming woman like yourself. क्या कर रही थी उस छोटे से गांव में? हैं?
And there were no beautiful, charming women in the cloisters, you think? You would be wrong. There were many lovely young initiates in the Lothering cloister, all of them chaste and virtuous. It added to their mystique, because then they were forbidden, and forbidden fruit is the sweeter, no?
Absolutely, बिल्कुल सही कहा इसने. Forbidden fruit is always the sweeter. What about your fruit? Is it forbidden? Basically ये से हम फ्लर्ट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, बट मैं करूँगा नहीं क्योंकि my only life partner is gonna be Morrigan in this game. तो बट मैंने इससे रोमांस कर रखा है just to explore different options, like every character, even Alistair when you play as a female, जब आप फीमेल लेके खेलोगे, या और भी कैरेक्टर्स हैं उनसे भी आप रोमांस कर सकते हैं. एक एल्फ आता है जेवरिन करके, वो बाइसेक्सुअल होता है, तो अगर आप मेल फीमेल हो उससे फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता, उससे भी कर सकते हो. तो बेसिकली हर कैरेक्टर का लाइक रोमांस वो एरिया अगर आप उस पर जाते हो तो अचीवमेंट्स अनलॉक होती है, तो मैंने उसके लिए करा था. बट डेफिनेटली मैं मॉरिगन को ही करूँगा अगेन बिकॉज शी इज़ दी ओनली वन. सो हाँ, तो मैं फ्लर्ट नहीं करूँगा ज़्यादा इससे.
Flatterer. I, however, did not take vows, and so perhaps I am not as enigmatic. The chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
Affirmed क्या होता है?
We affirm our belief in the Maker, in Andraste and the chant, but other than that, there are no vows taken. I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
Okay, +6 approval, still better. ठीक है. कुछ गिफ्ट दे सकते हैं इसको? ले आना. लूट. आई एम नॉट श्योर लूट इसके लिए है. अगली बूट्स ये ट्राई करते हैं. इसको बूट्स बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं बट लास्ट टाइम क्योंकि गड़बड़ हो गई थी -50 हो गया था लिस्ट के साथ. मैं एक बार सेव कर लेता हूँ. लेट्स जस्ट चेक. ओके ठीक है, अब देते हैं इसको. तो अभी क्या है, स्किल एक्वायर्ड. पता नहीं किसने स्किल एक्वायर्ड करा था, इसने या एलिस्टर ने, आई एम नॉट श्योर. बट अब इसको देके देखते हैं वो अगली बूट्स, क्योंकि इससे ये बूट्स की बहुत बड़ी फ़ैन है. तो अगर कुछ इसका अप्रूवल चेंज होता है या नहीं होता है. नहीं होता है तो वेरी गुड, होता है तो हम रीलोड कर लेंगे. यार दे क्यों नहीं पा रहा मैं इसको. अच्छा वो कैरेक्टर नहीं चेंज करा मैंने, स्टूपिड. अगली बूट्स
That's lovely, I suppose.
-50 देखा. -50 -30 हॉस्टाइल हो गई है बंदी हमारे से. इसीलिए ऑलवेज बेटर टू मेक सेव्स व्हेन यू गिव गिफ्ट्स. हमेशा सेव कर लो. कुछ गिफ्ट आपको लगता है कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है, इससे कुछ हो जाएगा तो. ठीक है ना. ओके. फैंसी वेज दे सकते हैं बट आई डोंट थिंक इससे इतना बढ़ेगा. कंप्लीट जीनियोलॉजी ऑफ द किंग्स ऑफ रेल्डन. आई एम नॉट श्योर किसके लिए ये है बट इसके लग नहीं रहा है. चलो ठीक है. अब किससे एक बार मॉरिगन से बात करते हैं, उसके बाद स्टैन से बात करेंगे, उसके बारे में जानेंगे. क्या कुछ स्पेशल डायलॉग है मॉरिगन के साथ.
Cold in my tent, all alone.
यस यस. अब हमने इससे इतना फ्लर्ट कर लिया ना. लाइक नाउ वी हैव एंगेज्ड इन हर रोमांस, सो नाउ शी इज इनिशिएटिंग इट. नाउ वी विल गेट टू सी द लिटिल रोमांस सीन. तो बहुत सही पार्ट है. इज लाइक अमेजिंग. इज लाइक वेरी सेक्सी. किंग की पार्ट आने वाला है. जस्ट #spoilers. वेल वी कांट हैव दैट. तेरे को ठंड लग रही है तो.
So you shall come to my tent? But whatever shall we do in that tiny little space together while we wait for it to warm?
अरे तो घुस तो बेड में, वो सब सोच लेंगे हम. उसकी क्यों टेंशन ले रही है.
Good. Then let us waste no more time with foolish talk. I see the stories they tell of Grey Warden endurance are not exaggerated.
Well, that was a very simple scene, not a very complex scene. उसमें ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं था. Like I'm sure आप लोग बहुत excited हो गए होगे, but ultimately बोला ये क्या हो रहा है, तो कुछ नहीं हो रहा है इसमें तो. Okay, but यार ध्यान रखो यार, it's a game.
Indeed there are. The unanswered question, of course, is whether the endurance exists because of the taint within you, or because the Grey Wardens are by nature so very healthy. I enjoy the thought that 'tis a little of both. Natural prowess driven by a darker side.
Definitely.
That is entirely up to you. Simply know that I have no designs on your independence. I wish only to do what I desire, and if that coincides with what you desire, then so be it. And should you decide not to continue our misadventure, then so be it. Very simple, is it not?
यार इतनी ओपन माइंडेड बंदी कहाँ मिलती है. लाइक जो लाइक इवन आफ्टर लाइक अ सॉर्ट ऑफ वन नाइट स्टैंड उसके बाद भी बोल रही है ठीक है भाई, अगर तेरे को कंटिन्यू करना कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, चिल, हम अपने अपने नाश्ते जाएंगे. शी डजंट वांट टू इम्पीड ऑन हिज इंडिपेंडेंस. मतलब कौन इतना ओपन माइंडेड कैसे हो सकता है यार. लाइक मतलब होते हैं लोग डेफिनेटली, बट नहीं मिलते नहीं है ना. शी इज़ लाइक कम्प्लीटली कूल विद एवरीथिंग. ठीक है, बट वी वॉन्ट मोर. हमें और ज़्यादा चाहिए. लाइक हमें रिलेशनशिप चाहिए. एंड व्हाट अबाउट लव. वो थोड़ा सा चहक जाएगी बट कोई बात नहीं. वी डेफिनेटली वांट टू एंगेज विद हर अ लॉट मोर इन अ वेरी, क्या कहते हैं उसको, इंटिमेट एंड bubbly. Like I'm not using the right words. Like sorry about that.
Oh, now you ruin the mood by speaking profanities. Silly man. Come then, let us be off before the others begin to stare.
Speaking about love is profanity, which gone wild. Like क्या सही नाम रखा है इस अचीवमेंट का, which gone wild. Okay, ठीक है. We can do that kinky scene 1 or 2 times. शायद आप 1-2 बार और भी कर सकते हो, but उसके मैं I'm not gonna do that again. मैं फिर से नहीं करूँगा. You can definitely do it. Like
We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
आप इसे रिलेशनशिप कोई भी एंड भी कर सकते हो. यू कैन डू लाइक अ नॉर्मल किस. मैं दिखा देता हूँ एक बार. केयर टू जॉइन मी इन माई टेड से वही सीन वापस रिप्ले होगा, वो हम नहीं करेंगे.
What's this? 'Tis a rather odd discussion you seem to desire, leaning in so closely. Oh, it's humor you desire. I didn't realize comedy had anything to do with this. How true. Let us do it right then.
ओह +4 थोड़ा सा और. तो आप इसे रिलेशनशिप एंड भी कर सकते हो. सब बिल्कुल बुरा नहीं मानती है. और फिर आप किसी और के साथ रिलेशनशिप परस्यू भी कर सकते हो. टेक्निकली अभी मैं इससे रिलेशनशिप अभी तोड़ के लिलियाना के साथ स्टार्ट कर सकता हूँ रिलेशनशिप. लाइक कोई टेंशन नहीं है उसमें. और अगर आप 4-5 लोगों के साथ फ्लर्ट करोगे तो गड़बड़ भी हो सकती है. टेक्निकली आई थिंक दे यू कैन रोमांस प्रिटी मच, मतलब एवरीवन टू गेट दी अचीवमेंट्स. हर बंदी की एक अचीवमेंट है. जैसे उसकी थी विच गॉन वाइल्ड मॉरिगन की, इसकी भी है, एलिस्टर की भी है शायद. टेक्निकली यू कैन आप सारी एक प्ले थ्रू में भी कर सकते हो इफ़ यू मीट द राइट कंडीशंस. बट ठीक है, हम अपने वो सब नहीं कर रहे, उतना ध्यान नहीं लगा रहे हम. अच्छा, इससे तो बात कर ली हमने.
Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind?
ओके, नहीं कुछ नए डायलॉग्स आ गए हैं.
My mother was from Denerim, and I consider myself a Ferelden. Mother served an Orlesian noblewoman who lived here when Orlais ruled. When Orlais was defeated and the common folk began to resent the presence of any Orlesian, the lady returned to Orlais. She took my mother with her. I was born in Orlais and did not set foot in Ferelden till much later. Mother was always telling me stories of her homeland. I think she missed it. Mother died when I was very young. Lady Cecily let me stay with her. I had no one else. She was quite old then, and she had me study music and dance to entertain her. It is unfair that I have more memories of Cecily than my mother.
Oh, that's so sad.
She was an elderly lady, very refined and proper. She had impeccable manners and taste, more so than a lot of Orlesian ladies. Cecily was also kind. My mother was unmarried and with child. It was scandalous, and Cecily had every right to turn my mother out. She didn't. Strangely, the only thing I really remember of Mother was her scent. She kept dried flowers in her closet amongst her clothes, small white Ferelden wildflowers with a sweet fragrance. Mother called them Andrastis Grace. They were very rare in Orlais. But enough about that. Let us move on. Yes? Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind? I miss Valroyaux. Unlike other cities where the people are the lifeblood and the character, Valroyaux was her own person, and her people little more than decorations. There was always music in Valroyaux, streaming from the many windows, quiet refrains and triumphant choruses, and always, floating above that all, the chant, coming from the grand cathedral. It was magnificent.
Okay, so Valroyaux is the capital, I think, of Ferelden, if I'm not wrong. I can be wrong, याद नहीं मेरे को. Valroyaux के बारे में like काफ़ी बताते हैं. It's like mentioned a lot of times in the game. लेकिन आप Valroyaux सिर्फ थर्ड गेम में ही जा पाते हो.
Oh, it would take me a day or two to talk about the many splendors of Orlais, her golden fields, her lush meadows. Of course, there are good things and bad things about Orlais, like anywhere else. Sometimes I miss it dearly, and sometimes I'm glad I'm rid of it. And you will laugh at this, but I miss the fine things I had in Orlais.
Fine things? मतलब क्या? जूते?
Dresses, fine dresses and furs, and shoes, of course. One can't mingle with nobility with bad shoes, you see. Olay is very fashionable, almost ridiculously so. But the shoes, living with those ridiculous trends was worth it for the shoes.
Shoes. Oh, I love shoes. Agree karo. Yes, shoes are everything.
When I left Olay, the fashion was shoes with delicate tapered heels and embellishments in the front, a ribbon perhaps, or embroidery. In soft colors, of course. It was spring.
I'm sure आप काफी लोग बोर हो रहे होंगे लाइक जूते के बारे में क्यों बात कर रहा है इससे बट इट्स फनी लाइक मजा आता है यार लाइक फन
I had my eye on a pair my shoemaker was working on. It was covered in pale blue silk with amber beads on the toe. The shoes made in Olay were exquisite. Not at all like these clunky fur-lined leather boots you have in Ferelden. Ugh, just look at them.
yeah I know right so ugly and shapeless yeah
They're sturdy shoes, but sometimes a girl just wants to have pretty feet. Oh, I could talk about shoes all day, but we have things to do, don't we?
+1 अप्रूवल बस अबे इतनी बढ़िया बातें करी हमने इससे +1 अप्रूवल
Yes. Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind? Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think. Chantry law says it is man's pride that created the Darkspawn. In ages past, the mages of the Tevinder Imperium ruled much of the world we know. In their pride, they thought their magics invincible and imagined that they were greater than the Maker himself. So thinking, they invaded his golden city, planning to take it for themselves and depose their own creator. But they were impure and full of sin. And it is with the sin that they tainted the golden city, corrupting it forever. The Maker cursed them and cast them from his sight. Wherever they went, they spread the taint of their sin. Any land that was touched by the taint became blighted and would suffer no life. Instead, the Darkspawn arose to torment us and remind us of our hubris.
ओके तो ये इसने एक सिंपल कहानी बताई जो चार्टरी बताती है कि डार्क स्पॉन के बारे में ओके डू यू नो एनी स्टोरीज फ्रॉम ओरले
Of course, Orlesians enjoy telling stories. I shall tell you my favorite tale of Aveline, the Knight of Olay.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
A long time ago, a girl child was born to a farmer. He had hoped for a son, not a daughter, and so he told his wife to abandon the child in the woods. Before the cold could claim her, the baby was found by a tribe of Dalish elves who took pity on the poor mewling thing and raised her as their own. Aveline, for that is what they called her, grew strong and quick and clever under the guidance of the elves. She learned to wield a sword as well as any man, could kill a deer with an arrow at 100 paces, and was as graceful on the back of a horse as she was on foot. Aveline's Dalish guardians saw that she could easily best any Orlesian chevalier in battle, and wanted to show the cruel humans the child they had left to die. They bestowed upon her a fine horse and armor, and sent her to prove herself to her people in the grand tourney. Now in those days, no woman was allowed to take up arms, let alone compete in the grand tourney, but Aveline kept her helmet on and was not discovered. Aveline won many events and gained the approval of the adoring crowd. Eventually, she came face to face with the knight Kaleva in the grand melee. Aveline had already bested him in the jousts, and Kaleva was determined not to lose a second time. Out of desperation to regain his honor, Kaleva tripped Aveline and tossed her to the ground, ripping off her helmet as he did so. Silence fell upon the arena as Aveline was revealed. Kaleva declared the previous competitions invalid. A woman had taken part, and this was not allowed. But the crowd cheered for Aveline. Kaleva was furious, for he had lost to a woman and was now being shamed. Blinded by his rage, he forced Aveline to her knees. "Know your place, woman," cried he, and slit her throat.
Uh-oh.
The son of the king, Prince Freyan, was present. He recognized Avelin's skill and bravery and began to see the injustice done to the women in his land. When he was made king, he rewrote the laws of Olay so that women could also become chevalier. He honored Aveline and knighted her after her death. And to this day, any female who is knighted reveres Aveline the Brave, for she is the patron of all women chevalier.
Oh, that's a very interesting story. काफ़ी अच्छी कहानी है एवेलिन की. डू यू नो एनी फेरेल्डन लेजेंड्स? अगर मैं ये सेलेक्ट करूँगा ना, ये वही ओवेन और फ्लेमेथ की कहानी बताएगी, लेकिन ट्विस्ट के साथ. ये जो मॉरिगन ने हमें अपनी माँ की कहानी बनाई थी वो एक्चुअल ट्रूथ था. अब यहाँ पे जो ये हमें कहानी बताएगी वो थोड़ी चेंज्ड होगी, क्योंकि लाइक जैसे टाइम बीतता जाता है स्टोरीज चेंज होती रहती हैं टू मीट द, मतलब यू आपको पता ही है ना, लाइक टाइम के हिसाब से स्टोरीज चेंज होती रहती है. किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया, किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया, किसी ने कुछ ऐड कर दिया. तो ये हमें एक डिफरेंट टाइप की कहानी बताएगी उसी लेजेंड को लेके. वो सुनते हैं.
I know one, told to me by my mother a long time ago. It always chilled me to the bone. Maybe you have heard of Flemeth? Are you sure? Was she the Flemeth of legend? Flemeth, the devourer of men? Flemeth, mother of witches? Flemeth, demon-touched, who dwells in the mists? Well, if Flemeth really exists, she would be very, very old indeed. Ferelden mothers scare their daughters with talk of Flemeth. They say that if you're bad, Flemeth will spirit you away and bind you to her forever. They also say that Flemeth mourns her lost beauty and will steal yours through your looking glass if she catches you. Flemeth's beauty was known throughout the land. She had hair like unto a moonless night, skin as pale as winter's first snow, and eyes as beautiful and perilous as the sea. When she came of age, she came to the attention of the Lord of Highever, Conobar, and he took her for his wife. Conobar soon learned that his young bride had the gift of magic. He kept this a secret, for he feared that she would be taken from him. Flemeth stayed with Conobar for some years, and with his blessing she practiced her art. And then one day, a young poet named Osen came to the castle. Flemeth was captivated by Osen's voice, and he by her beauty, and they fell in love. Flemeth longed to be with her true love, and she and Osen fled from Conobar's lands, seeking refuge in the Kokari wilds with the chasing tribes. They lived there happily for many a year, till the day Flemeth received news that Conobar was dying and longed to see her face one last time. Flemeth's heart swelled with pity for the man who once was her husband, and begged Osen to return to Conobar's side with her. But when Flemeth and Osen entered Highever, they were captured by Conobar's men, and Osen was slain in front of Flemeth's eyes. Flemeth was imprisoned in the highest tower of the castle, there to await Conobar's judgment on her. Distraught at the loss of her love, Flemeth plotted revenge against her husband. She summoned a fey demon, intending for it to wreak vengeance on Conobar. But a spell went awry. The demon possessed Flemeth. Turning her into an abomination, the halls of the castle ran red with blood as Flemeth slaughtered Conobar and all his men. The last of Flemeth's humanity melted away, and at dawn, she stole back to the wilds to plot and scheme for 100 years. They say she took to her side many chastened men, and with their help begat her daughter witches, who even now prowl the dark places of the Kokari wilds.
ओके तो ये उसकी कहानी थी, थोड़ी डिफरेंट थी. जैसे हमने जो फ्लेमेथ मॉरिगन ने हमें बताई थी थोड़ी सी डिफरेंट है, बट थोड़ी सी ज़्यादा, मतलब इसमें थोड़ा आपको लगेगा कि ड्रामेटिक या फ्लेयर टाइप का डाल रखा है, जो यूजली गलत ही होता है. ओरिजिनल कहानी बहुत सिंपल होती है और डिफरेंट होती है. तो ये थी इसकी कहानी. और कोई कहानी है क्या?
Which one?
वी कैन आस्क अबाउट डेलिश एंड अंड्रास्टे, नेक्स्ट टाइम सुनेंगे, अभी काफ़ी सुन लिया हमने.
It will come to you soon, I'm sure.
+2. ओके, अब स्टैन से बात करते हैं. अबे स्टैन को टोपी भी तो पहनाई थी, टोपी नहीं पहनी इसने. स्टैन की नहीं पहन रखी है. अच्छा, तो दिख नहीं रही कैंप में.
Why are we stopping?
ये बहुत स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड बंदा है, कभी इसको समझ ही नहीं आता कभी कभी कैसे बोलना है. लाइक अनलेस यू, आपके पास अगर कोई गाइड वाइड है कि भाई इससे कैसे बोलना है, कैसे रिएक्ट करना है, कभी समझ ही नहीं आता. लाइक आई एम ऑलवेज, मैं हमेशा कंफ्यूज रहता हूँ कि भाई इससे हाँ में हाँ मिलाओ या इसके ना मिलाओ या डिसअग्री करो. बहुत ही अजीब कैरेक्टर है, लाइक समझ ही नहीं आता मेरे को, तभी मेरे को इतना पसंद भी नहीं है.
There are darkspawn to be fought. Is this delay needful? I am Kunari. I have given my word to aid you. We are not people of idle promises. No.
देखा, सीधा स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड. मैंने पूछा भाई तेरे बारे कुछ बता, तेरे बारे में. नो. एटीट्यूड, लाइक एटीट्यूड लेवल 100 भाई. प्लीज़ बोलो, प्लीज़ नहीं बोल सकते, ये तो ऑब्वियस चीज़ है ना. लाइक इससे ना थोड़ा लाइक ऐंठ के बात करनी पड़ेगी.
People are not simple. They cannot be summarized for easy reference in the manner of the elves are a lithe, pointy-eared people who excel at poverty. You are concerned. No need. I am fit enough to fight. I am. I have always fought in war, human. Some of them. They aren't all alike. As you wish.
+2 अप्रूवल.
Yes.
कुछ बात ही नहीं करी हमने, बस हाँ हूँ, यस नो.
I am hardly surprised. To answer a question. Were you not at Ostagar when the army was overwhelmed? That is your answer. Yes. Never. I cannot go home. It doesn't matter now. Can we move on? We keep the darkspawn waiting. Sitting, as you observed. No, it's a choice, not a necessity. I did. Parshera. Was there anything else? Speak, then. Then I suggest we move on. I am hardly surprised. Very well. As you wish.
कुछ बात करने के लिए ही नहीं होता, ऐसे कुछ ऑप्शंस ही नहीं है, इसीलिए मेरे को कभी इतना इंटरेस्टिंग नहीं लगता. ओके, एलिस्टर के साथ भी कुछ बात करने के लिए नहीं है, सबसे बातें कर ली हमने. ठीक है, तो ये वीडियो मैं यहीं ख़त्म कर रहा हूँ. लाइक थोड़ा अगर मैं क्वेस्ट शुरू करूँगा तो वो ज़्यादा लंबी हो जाएगी, खिंच जाएगी. तो नेक्स्ट वीडियो में हम जाएंगे किसी विल रिक्रूट सम एलाइज. हम किसी को रिक्रूट करने जाएंगे, या तो डेली शेल्व्स या ऑर्जमार जाएंगे ड्वार्फ्स को लेने. आई थिंक मैं टावर तो लास्ट के लिए ही रखूँगा. टावर मेजेस जो रिक्रूट करने होंगे उनको मैं लास्ट के लिए ही रखूँगा. तो नेक्स्ट वीडियो में वील स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट क्वेस्ट. साइड क्वेस्ट DLCs भी हैं. नहीं एक्चुअली अभी याद आया मेरे को. नहीं, नेक्स्ट वीडियो में हम एलाइज को रिक्रूट नहीं करेंगे. एक और कैरेक्टर है जो हम पहले रिक्रूट कर सकते हैं, इट्स अ गॉलम. उसको रिक्रूट करेंगे. तो वो एक क्वेस्ट होगी, उसमें पूरा हमें जाना होगा, एक शहर में जाना होगा, थोड़ी फाइट करनी होगी डार्कस्पॉन से. उसको रिक्रूट करेंगे, तो वो होगी नेक्स्ट वीडियो. हाँ, डेफिनेटली विल डू दैट नेक्स्ट. उसके बाद फिर हम एलाइज को लेने जाएंगे. चलो भाई, आई विल सी यू नेक्स्ट टाइम. टेक केयर.